Hey all, Azale here with a new episode of Lane Kingdom, and today it'll be a little bit different. With no preview available to me, we're going to focus on some different aspects of the game and talk about top Esports Knight. Knight is a total package player, considered by many to be the best mid laner in the world and perhaps even the best overall player in League of Legends today. He won both the 2019 and 2020 Summer MVP in the LPL, which makes him only the third player in the region to win multiple titles, alongside both Rookie and Doumbé, two world champions. Knight's most iconic champion is his Syndra. He was 18-2 across all games in 2020, including a 7-0 summer split, while boasting some ridiculous stats. 13 KDA, plus 8.4 CSD at 15, as well as a damage per minute difference over his opponents of plus 216, all while tanking 29 Syndra bans, more than 3 times the LPL average of 9.3. Let's be honest, you don't become the best Syndra in the world by being good at just one or two things. But I watched every Syndra game that Knight played this year, and one main thing really stood out. Knight's positioning. It's incredible. He puts himself right on the edge of fights, which allows him to take one step forward for max range abilities, as well as one step back to dodge engages or force his opponents to overcommit in order to kill him. He is always readjusting his positioning, not only to avoid those engages, but to look for stuns on key targets and to line up the maximum possible number of enemies and single-handedly win fights with those stuns. Perhaps the most unique thing about Knight Syndra, though, is how he plays so many fights from unexpected angles, fighting entire sequences over the wall or coming from an unexpected angle to draw pressure and completely change a fight. Let's take a look at a fight against last year's world champion, FPX. After being taken down incredibly low to start the fight, most players would struggle to make an impact on the remainder of it. Knight, though, is able to stay at max range to give himself the most possible time in order to sidestep Tien's Q. Meanwhile, having spotted Khan on Quinn flying through mid lane, Knight quickly looks to reposition away from the collapse. He wraps around into the Krug's pit, and Khan as well as the rest of FPX are unable to ignore the juicy Ezreal target. They go straight for Jackie Love, and in the process stack up for a massive QW from Knight. As Chris wards over the wall, Knight's spells are on cooldown. He quickly backs up to avoid any possible incoming damage and repositions out of sight. Karsa arrives and pillars Crisp, giving Knight vision and a slow in order to land an easy kill. FPX begin to fall, and Knight knows they're being corralled towards him, so he looks to clean up the final kills. Holding a Krug with his W, he throws only that W towards Khan, knowing that if he overcommits with abilities and Khan flashes them, he would be toast. Khan then does flash into a vault, and a Knight immediately queues at the location he knows that Khan's vault will return him to, timing it perfectly and erasing the Quinn off the map, grabbing another kill and once again repositioning around the wall to land another spell on LWX as he gets stunned up trying to kite away from the Renekton and Trundle. At the Midseason Cup, Knight went on an absolute tear, leading his team to a 5-0 record against the LCK teams in attendance, including a total destruction of Gen G in 3-0 fashion. In the final game of that set, he got a hold of his Syndra and put on a show. Gen G start up the dragon, and Knight teleports in to look for a flanking position as the other 4 members of his team hold the opposite end of the dragon pit. Knight comes from out of vision, finding both Rascal and Life with a stun, while forcing Clid to dodge up towards his team in order to avoid his W, forcing him to eat a Yumi Q as well as some MF poke. BDD immediately looks to turn on the Syndra, but a quick flash away from Knight avoids the Azir ultimate as Gen G are forced into a full retreat over the wall. Knight is winning the 1v1 against BDD, who despite having some really nice dodges, was always doomed to go down as Karsa arrives to help Knight finish him off, getting TS both the teamfight win and the dragon as well as the eventual Baron. It's a great example of Knight again taking atypical positions and knowing just how far he can push the limits of his champion. Most Syndras simply would have joined with their team on the left side of the dragon pit, but having his flash up and the confidence to take a very aggressive angle led him to taking over the fight. One final fight, and perhaps Knight's most famous play to date, comes from the LPL Summer Finals in the pivotal Game 5. Knight uses a little-known Syndra trick to find an engage that ultimately decides the game. Knight, as usual, is playing over the wall from the main area of the fight, and as Kanavi as well as Lumao stack to exit the river towards their jungle, Knight lands a massive stun through the wall from beyond max range to catch both the jungler and support, allowing his team to instantly follow up and erase them before they ever exit CC. The pick leads to an eventual 2 more kills on Loken and Yagao as they try to contest the Elder Dragon, which goes the way of TES and leads to the Baron take immediately after. It's an incredible series and LPL championship winning play, and one that was possible only because of an interaction with Syndra casting abilities through walls. This allows the extension of the stun. When using Q+E through terrain, if the orb gets over halfway through the wall, it is essentially pushed through to the other side, similar to how Flash works with champions. This allows you to use walls almost like a Zoe would with Sleepy Trouble Bubble to get ridiculous range on your stuns in specific areas of the map. Note just how far away you can be when casting the combo through walls compared to when you cast it along that same wall. These tricks are really cool to see no matter where they show up, but seeing it in the final game of the LPL finals was incredible and shows again that Knight is truly a master of Syndra. With Knight's debut at Worlds 2020 quickly coming up, I want to leave the teams with a little piece of sage advice. Ban this man's Syndra! You'll have to figure out what to do about the rest of his champions on your own though. Good luck!